A walk with the dog. The journey is important. He must continue forward. That is his singular focus. He must keep moving. That had always been enough. On every road before this one, and every road after, the reason remained the same. He carried the burden the way he carried everything, without complaint and without setting it down. The road ran through fields gone gold with late summer. His sandals were worn thin at the heel. His grey robe moved without sound. The katana rode across his back, its white-wrapped handle rising past his shoulder, as familiar to him as his own hands. He was short, bald. His skin held the deep olive of a man who had walked through every season this land owned. A person might look at him once and forget him completely. That had always suited him. He passed a stone marker at the roadside and pressed 2 fingers to it without slowing. A small habit, worn smooth by repetition. He did not remember when it started. He did not ask. The journey did not explain itself, and he had stopped expecting it to. There was only the next stretch of road, and the one after that, and the certainty, bone-deep and wordless, that he was needed somewhere ahead of him. He knew that stopping was not his to choose. Ahead, a village, low rooftops, threads of smoke against a clean sky. He had no plan to stop there. Stopping was not part of what he carried. Then the dog found him. It came through a gap in the fence line at a dead run, barking, circling back, barking again. A brown mongrel, one ear torn, eyes wide with something close to grief. It bolted 20 paces toward the hills and came straight back, refusing to let him pass. He could not set the road down, but the road, for now, could wait. He followed the dog. The hills swallowed them fast, down a dry creek bed, up a rocky slope, through a stand of pines. The dog ran with purpose, never looking back to see if he followed, as if it already knew he would. He matched its pace without effort. Then the smell reached him. Smoke, something sour underneath it. 3 orcs stepped out from behind a boulder, weapons already rising. One hurled a hand axe. He caught it from the air without breaking stride and let it fall. A club swung for his ribs and struck him with a sound like a mallet on stone. He did not slow. His blade answered twice, and 2 of the 3 were done before the third had finished raising his weapon. The dog had not stopped moving, neither had he. A second patrol, 5 strong, met them on the open ridge. Arrows came first, 3 of them, and he swept his blade through the air in one motion that sent all 3 spinning harmlessly into the grass. The orcs with axes fared no better. Where their blows landed, they left thin red lines, nothing more, like a careless pass of a fingernail. One orc broke and ran, sprinting for the hills, toward the outpost, to warn them. He let him go. The outpost rose from the hillside behind a ring of sharpened stakes, the gate standing open. Beyond it, a great host of orcs stood arrayed, weapons ready, and at their centre stood one larger than the rest, draped in plates of hammered scrap iron. "Garl would like to challenge you," the leader called out, his voice carrying easily across the open ground, but he never finished. A second orc had already broken from the line, a wall of muscle and tusk, a cleaver the size of a door swinging up in one fist, grinning wide. The monk closed the distance in a single step. Garl's head was on the ground before the grin had finished forming. The leader looked at the body for a long moment. Then he smiled. "This will be fun." They came at him in waves, and the dog stayed pressed low against his heel, exactly where he kept it. The first wave broke around him from 3 sides. A club came down at his skull and rang off his shoulder instead, the impact passing through him like he was something other than flesh. He stepped into the swing rather than away from it, and the orc holding the club never had time to recover before the blade found him. Another orc lunged with a spear, and he turned the point aside with 2 fingers, almost lazily, before answering with a single clean stroke. An axe caught him across the forearm and left a thin red line, nothing more, the kind of mark a person might get reaching through a hedge. He did not look at it. He kept circling, always circling, the dog tucked behind his legs no matter which direction the fight turned. When an orc tried to come around his flank toward the dog, he simply pivoted, putting his own body between them without breaking the rhythm of the strike already in motion, and the orc went down before it understood it had been stopped. More came. A pair with hammers tried to box him in, swinging in sequence so that one blow always followed the other. Both blows landed. Both glanced away, one off his ribs, one off his back, leaving nothing behind but the dull ache of impact and 2 dead orcs a moment later. An archer on the roofline loosed 3 arrows in quick succession, and all 3 were cut from the air in a single sweeping arc, the blade moving almost too fast to see. By the time a dozen lay still around him, the rest had begun to hesitate, falling back toward the gate in a loose, uncertain knot. Only the leader had not moved. Then the leader came in. He was faster than the others and stronger, and the first heavy swing of his iron-banded club caught the monk across the side before he could fully turn. It was not a glancing blow. It moved him a half-step sideways, his balance shifting for the first time all day. The monk paused, his head tilted just slightly, as if something impossible had just happened, something his body had not been built to allow. There was no time to consider it. An orc near the gate had broken off from the retreating knot and was lunging straight for the dog, a hooked blade raised high. The monk was already moving before he finished the thought, twisting away from the leader's follow-up strike entirely, sweeping the dog up against his chest with one arm, while the other drove the katana backward without looking, catching the lunging orc through the throat before it ever reached its target. The leader's club caught him again as he turned, square across the back this time, hard enough to drive him forward a step and knock the breath from him. He set the dog down gently behind a fallen timber, out of the way, and turned to face the leader fully. The fight that followed was short. The leader was strong, stronger than anything else there, strong enough to have moved him twice when nothing else in the yard had managed it once. But he was alone now, and the monk was not tired, and had not been tired in longer than he could remember. 3 strikes, faster than the eye could follow, and the leader went down the way a felled tree goes down, slow and absolute, the ground shaking once beneath him. The few orcs still standing did not wait to see what came next. They scattered into the hills and did not look back. He found the boy in the second structure, frightened but unhurt, curled in the corner of a storage room with his knees pulled to his chest. The reunion with the dog was immediate and loud, the boy laughing through tears as the dog climbed all over him, licking his face, his hands, anything it could reach. He walked them both back toward the village. The boy talked the whole way, fast and breathless, the way children do when the fear has only just left their body and needs somewhere to go. The monk said little. He did not need to. At the fence line, the boy turned to ask his name. The monk only shook his head gently and pointed the boy toward home. The boy would have quite a story to tell tonight. An orc outpost, a beheading mid-sentence, a swordsman who shrugged off clubs and barely noticed axes, who carried him and his dog out of the hills without so much as catching his breath. Too bad no one back home would likely believe a word of it. The monk watched until the boy and dog disappeared through the gap in the fence, the dog's torn ear bobbing as it ran ahead, the boy's voice already calling out for someone who could not yet hear him. Then the monk turned back to the road. He did not pause, he did not rest. He found his pace again as easily as he had left it, and walked on into the evening, the reason for it all exactly as unexplained as it had been that morning, and just as necessary. This has been a chapter from the Negsbane Iron series. Follow at Negsbane for more.